Welcome back to Gale Force Wins Season 4.
Welcome back to Gale Force Wins. This is a special edition. I would call it a compilation of conversations that we had at the Mineral Resources Review 2024. I'm putting this together because the mining industry, I've come to learn, is essential to Newfoundland's economy. We first encountered the mining sector as our company Gale Force Wins in Central MINEx and Gander in 2023. This edition of Gale Force Wins is going to be a collection of conversations that we've had in the mining sector, primarily from the most recent Mineral Resources Review. But I want to start it off with Eric Sprott. Eric Sprott is the world's preeminent mining investor in the entire world. The very first video from him was recorded at his keynote address in Gander in 2023. And it absolutely blew me away when he talked about the opportunity in Newfoundland. The second video you'll see was recorded on the floor of the Mineral Resources Review 2024. It's myself and our guest host, Kristina Ennis, talking about our excitement around recording conversations for the Mineral Resources Review. The third video is Premier Andrew Furey. He attended the show on the first day and we recorded his thoughts. His optimism around this industry is quite evident in that video. The next person is Pieter, the general manager of Vale Base Metals. I have some stats I want to read you from their website. The economic contribution of Vale to the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, according to a report, $541 million in labor income over the past 3 years. In the last 15 years, the total investment in Newfoundland is $10.8 billion capital investments, $6.8 billion operating expenses. That's $17.6 billion from Vale Base Metals. In 2023 alone, they directly employed 1,550 people, paid over $208 million in wages, and refined 27,704 tons of nickel. That is an incredible opportunity. The next guest is Ryan King. Ryan is the Senior VP, Corporate Development Investor Relations at Calibre. I'm going to read you a couple of things from their website. They're operating the Valentine gold mine in central Newfoundland. That is going to be the largest open pit mine in Atlantic Canada. Let me read you this from their website. The Valentine gold mine is in the central region of Newfoundland and Labrador, one of the top mining jurisdictions in the world. When completed, Valentine will be the largest gold mine in Atlantic Canada and a significant contributor to the economy of Newfoundland and Labrador. And I would suggest Canada. That's right from their website. The second to last guest is Tony Wakeham, the MHA for Stephenville, Port-au-Port, and leader of the official opposition. What was really nice to see at the Mineral Resources Review was not only leaders that are elected and in the Liberal cabinet, but we had leaders from the opposition, and Tony Wakeham was one of them. This industry is obvious that it's non-partisan. People are in total support of what's going on. Tony has a really good conversation. The last guest that we're going to feature from it is Amanda McCallum, the Executive Director of Mining NL. And I'm going to go and read a couple of things from the miningnl.com website. In Newfoundland and Labrador, the ground beneath our feet contains many valuable mineral commodities, with discoveries being made all the time. Some of the historically valuable commodities that Newfoundland has produced include iron ore, gold, copper, silica, gypsum, fluorspar, asbestos, pyrite, and more. Recently, there's been a surge in demand of critical minerals in Canada. Critical minerals are needed to transition to a low-carbon and digitized economy. It goes on to say, these minerals will help Canada become a major player in the world economy as more people, cities, companies, and countries transition away from fossil fuels and toward electrification. In Newfoundland and Labrador, some of our historically valuable commodities are on the list of critical minerals, such as copper, fluorspar, but we also have active mining operations or deposits of several others like cobalt, lithium, nickel, antimony, zinc, chromium, platinum group metals, and rare earth metals. Let me just conclude, and then I'll let you watch the rest of these conversations. We recorded close to 54, I think it was 54 conversations. What I tried to do in this compilation is give you an idea of the depth of the opportunity that is here in Newfoundland and Labrador. I talked to a lot of people week to week, month to month, and I don't think everyone realizes how huge this opportunity is. I spoke to a 22-year-old a few months ago and didn't think that the economy in Newfoundland was very strong. Well, I'm here to tell you, and what you're going to watch is the leaders of today in Newfoundland and Labrador are identifying in this one sector, the mining sector, incredible opportunity. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and here it is.
I have a feeling towards this province, by the way. I love being here. I love the opportunity that I'm involved with all the companies that I've invested in, and I think that what might happen here will be truly significant on a world basis, not just Canada, by the way, on a world basis. So why not try to get involved in it? For example, that news release on Keats West, it was 250 by 305 by 30. And by my calculation, that could be 6 million tons. Now, what's the grade? It's a third of an ounce, you got 2 million ounces. Half an ounce, you got 3 million ounces. And did it ever take a long time to find? Not 2 or 3 months of drilling to find that? Oh my God, how prospective is this thing? And I think the fact is that it's incredibly prospective. We got it on the east side of the Appleton, we got it on the west side of the Appleton. It's probably going to go deeper. It was described to me initially, it's like a feather, okay? The apple is the core of the feather, and you've got all these things that come off. And there could be a lot of things coming off that we haven't got to drilling yet. Well, I think there's a huge opportunity. I hope people get it, that the profitability that could happen here is going to be stupendous, and I'm happy to meet the Mayor of Gander, Brad, with the Chamber of Commerce. You put on a wonderful conference here, and I hope everyone gets a lot of bountifulness out of the opportunity in front of you.
Well, folks, welcome to Gale Force Wins. This is the Mineral Resources Review 2024, and it is sponsored today by HR Project Partners. Thank you to our sponsor, HRPP, Jackie, Janessa, and all the team, and it's powered by Gale Force Wins. I'm going to introduce you to someone who probably doesn't need any introduction, Kristina Ennis, who's our guest host for today. Tell us a little bit about how excited you are, Kristina.
I am so excited to be here. Given my background's kind of in the energy sector in oil and gas, and had a little bit of experience in the mining sector a couple of years ago, but I'm really excited to learn more about what's going on in the province, what's kind of up and coming, some updates on the projects that have been ongoing that we hear about a lot in the news, but want to know more. So I'm super excited to be here.
Well, I agree. And, you know, I did some pre-promotional interviews prior to this. One of them was with Ryan King from Calibre Mining. You know what he said to me? And I don't know a lot about the industry. He said that their mine, the Valentine Gold Mine, is an open pit mine. It'll be the largest in Atlantic Canada, and it has 5 million ounces of gold.
Wow.
Can you imagine? At 23.35 an ounce, that's a lot of money.
That sounds like a lot of gold. It's so interesting that there's these pockets of resources across the province that people just really have no idea that they're there, or really what the opportunity is that they could bring.
So Kristina, you bring a couple of perspectives, a youth perspective, a woman's perspective. Tell us a little bit about, you know, the anticipation of where you'd like to go with your interviews with this show.
Yeah, so I would love to talk to people who are both in leadership roles with organizations within the mining sector, as operators, explorers, developers, but also some people who are maybe not in leadership roles yet, individual contributors at companies, maybe a bit of a step out opportunity that they're here at this conference this week, maybe get a chance to talk about what they do on their day-to-day and kind of what it looks like to work in the mining sector, that folks can watch and maybe get a better idea of maybe that's a direction they might like to go with their career.
Well, Kristina, you know, it's exciting for us at Gale Force Wins to have you as the guest host. You've done a bunch of things with us in the past. This show in particular, for me, is incredibly exciting because the industry, there's so much opportunity for all of us, and it's not just, you know, for a couple of years. This is generational.
Absolutely.
I'm excited, and I know you are. We are here for 4 days. Today it's sponsored by HRPP. Tomorrow sponsored by Trajectory Engineering. Thursday is sponsored by Calibre Mining.
Yep.
And then Friday, New Valley Drilling based in Springdale. Some final words as a welcome to everyone.
One thing that I think is really cool about the mining sector that is really unique is that it is a natural resource, but it's literally all across the province. It's on the East Coast, it's on the West Coast, it's in Central, it's in the Lab City area, it's also in the Goose Bay area. So it's literally a sector that touches every corner of the province, not just one area, which that is pretty unique. So I'm looking forward to learning more about what's going on all across the province, actually all across the province. Hello, my name is Kristina Ennis and welcome to the 2024 Mineral Resources Review, sponsored by Trajectory Engineering, powered by Gale Force Wins. I'm joined here this morning with Premier Andrew Furey, also the MHA for the district of Humber-Gross-Mourne. Thank you so much for joining me here.
Happy to be here. What an energy in the room here. It's great.
It is busy. There's folks from all across the province and the vibes are electric in here this morning. So to kick us off, can you tell us what brings you here to the Delta here in St. John's for the Mineral Resources Review?
Well, this is an incredible opportunity from people across the province and across the country and around the world to come together to share ideas, to share technology, but also to recognize the true opportunity that exists in the mining sector in Newfoundland and Labrador. I mean, we're known around the world as being one of the best places to do mining anywhere in the world, not just anywhere in Canada, anywhere in the world. Absolutely. Right here in Newfoundland and Labrador. So that's to bring people together to understand what we have, to understand the raw resource, but then how it fits into a development and a supply chain is important for events like today and forums like today. So having people come together, celebrate the mining industry, what it means to the economy of Newfoundland and Labrador, what it means to communities in Newfoundland and Labrador, and what it means to the future of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Absolutely. I've had some excellent conversations yesterday and this morning with folks. There's people who have moved home to start businesses in the mining sector in Central. I met a lady yesterday who moved to Labrador City from the UK and is helping grow the mining sector up there. And it touches every area of our province, which is very unique. So on your travels around the province over the last few years, can you make some comments on what you've observed, how mining is helping communities?
So I think for someone who's not in the mining industry, the first thing that someone thinks of is the actual mine itself. And there's a visual of big machines and extracting resource. Yeah. That is all very important and creates high-paying, high-skilled jobs.
Absolutely.
But I think what people miss is the adjacent industries. So the industries that support that mine, whether it's laboratory work or the support work for the people in the mine. The adjacent industries attached to a mine are fairly significant. And so while it's the mine that may be the driving force of a community, it's all the adjacent and the indirects in the economy and the local economy that really bring the community together, help it grow as a community, and help it grow as an economy.
Absolutely. So one of the things that Minister Parsons and I chatted a bit about was the restructure of the department to not just from natural resources, but to kind of bring in tech, and tech is touching all of these sectors.
Indeed.
One phrase I've heard a bunch that I would love to learn more about, and I would love to educate folks who are going to be watching about, is green steel. Can you tell me a bit more about green steel, what that means, and what that means for the province?
Sure. So it's a very special opportunity for the province, and I would argue perhaps a unique global opportunity right here in Newfoundland and Labrador. So when you look at the climate right now across the world, and you look at carbon intensity and carbon emissions, one of the most carbon intense industries in the world is steel, the production of steel. I believe it's around 10% of global emissions come from the manufacturing and production of steel. So if you want to truly change the climate and reduce carbon emissions, you have to look at the steel production.
Right.
So it's not just about the smelting of the steel and the plants that you would traditionally see in Pittsburgh or Hamilton or other jurisdictions that actually make the actual end product of steel.
Right.
You have to think about the extraction of the iron ore body, and then all the subsequent steps in order to get to the smelting and the processing of the steel. So what is important in that setup, in that supply chain towards green steel, is Newfoundland and Labrador's product. Labrador's product specifically, it's a high quality iron, which means now it's a critical mineral on the Canadian list. Which, for those at home, it means that it can be refined at lower temperatures, so lower energy intense. There's lower processing required. The second thing that is an incredible opportunity in Labrador is the adjacency to hydroelectric capacity to drive the extraction and the principal processing of the iron ore body.
Yeah.
So it can be the iron is pure, so coming out of the ground, it's conceivably less intense by the end.
Right.
And the initial processing in Lab West, it can be driven largely by electricity, which therefore is less
also have
carbon intense. And from there, it can be put on rail, which is less carbon intense than some other modes. Mm-hmm. And another interesting element in this is as the hydrogen space develops, hydrogen can be used either for an energy source, but it can also be used in the chemical processing. So hydrogen as a molecule can be used in to power a turbine, but it can also be used in the initial chemical processing of the iron ore. So there is incredible intersection of opportunities happening in that green steel space, which doesn't happen anywhere else. That's why you see the Rio Tintos of the world suddenly very focused on Labrador. They're not, they're still focused on their other assets, but there was a time where we were unsure about Rio's position in Labrador. Now it's a pinnacle of their assets.
Yeah. That was a very digestible explanation of green steel, and I cannot wait to share this video widely on social media, and hopefully more people will understand what the opportunity is and why it's important and why we keep talking about those kinds of things.
Yeah, because other places can't, just to further differentiate, other places can't say that. So like the iron ore that comes out of predictable places like Australia, Brazil, or Central Europe, they don't necessarily have the purity, or they don't necessarily have the adjacency to electricity, or they don't necessarily have the stability in the governance perspective. So the intersection of all of those things make Newfoundland and Labrador a key, a very interesting and special place right now. I would argue unique.
I would argue that we are very unique and very special, and there's so much opportunity here. It's very exciting. The buzz here this week is just awesome. So before we clue up, because I know you've got a speaking engagement to get to, is there anything else you want to add or you'd like to share with folks who are going to be watching this video about the mining sector and kind of the opportunity and the future of the province?
Yeah, no, it's just how proud we are, the hardworking women and men who are in the industry, the skilled trades, who are growing this industry, who are developing this industry. And it's not a platitude, it's being celebrated around the world. We're recognized globally as one of the best places to mine minerals in the world. That's because of the support of women and men in the industry. It's because of the vision of people in the industry, and it's recognizing the intersection of opportunities of our resources at this particular time. This is our moment to really have our minerals truly sparkle on the global stage.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure to have this conversation. And stay tuned, folks, for more from the 2024 Mineral Resources Review here in St. John's. Hi, I'm Kristina Ennis, and welcome to the Mineral Resources Review 2024 podcast. Today we are sponsored by Calibre Mining and powered by Gale Force Wins. I have the pleasure of being joined now by Pieter Loock. Pieter is the General Manager of Labrador Operations with Vale. Thank you for joining me, Pieter.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. So, Pieter, can we kick off our interview today with you telling me a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. Originally born in South Africa, raised in South Africa, studied mining engineering. Spent my entire career building mines and operating underground mines, specifically hard rock underground mines. And around 2019, this opportunity crossed my path for Voisey's Bay specifically.
Right.
And I saw on the news the history of Voisey's Bay, and it's going from open pit to underground.
Yeah.
And that's really piqued my interest, and made contact with the company, and the rest is history. So we're still here. Went through the phases for the project phases, ramping up the mine, and hopefully taking the mine into full production very soon.
Awesome. So for those who might not have gotten a chance to hear your talk you did this morning for update on the project, can you give us a little snapshot on what the project was that's happened up at Voisey's Bay?
Sure. So Voisey's Bay has been mining for anywhere from 15 to 20 years. If you include the pre-works for the original project. The project was originally an open pit mine.
Right.
Fantastic ore body, world-class deposit as a whole. But the open pit was coming to an end,
Right.
and we had to find a mechanism to replace that ore feed. And with the ore body continuing underground, the natural development is to take the mine underground. So
Right.
it entails building 2 underground mines essentially to replace the ore that we used to get from the open pit mine. Workforce for the underground anywhere from 800 to 1,000 employees.
800 to 1,000.
It's a pretty big operation, full fly in, fly out. There's no road access. It's only boat access, shipping and flights. So fantastic opportunity, very big mine, very big operation. It is like I said initially, a world-class deposit, pretty much known in the world for the uniqueness and the quality of the asset, and we're taking it underground and
Right.
hoping to be mining it for decades to come.
It's awesome chatting with folks like yourself who aren't from here, who recognize it as a world-class asset. I think a lot of folks in Newfoundland and Labrador, we've been hearing about projects that have been ongoing for my entire lifetime, and I think it just kind of glosses over people's heads sometimes that these assets that we have in the province are massively valuable, and that is recognized outside of the borders of just our province.
Absolutely.
And thank you for making the trek to Newfoundland for the last 5 years to do this project. So I've asked other folks what brings you here. It's obvious what brought you here to the Mineral Resources Review as an operator of a mine that's expanding. But why is it important for Vale to have a presence at these types of events?
There's a number of reasons, and firstly it's to see what else is happening in the province, to connect with other mining companies, and to find, in our case, where can we join forces as the mining companies in the province,
Right.
to steer directions or talks in certain directions, or to talk about the same problems or same challenges we might have,
Right.
and how to pool resources to get to the solution. So it does help speaking to other mining companies. It does help speaking to the educational institutions,
Right.
higher level or higher education, about our future needs, what types of qualifications and skills we would like future workers to have. And not only for Voisey's Bay and for Vale, but for the province as a whole. I think that's the exciting thing about this whole conference, is just to see the potential in mining in the entire province. I never knew that before I came to Newfoundland and before I came to these conferences.
Right.
Just how big the mining opportunity in the province is.
Absolutely.
And we need to unlock it.
For sure. And it's something, as someone, I felt I was very informed about this sector before I got here this week, but I've learned so much. I knew that there was a lot of mining activity going on. I did not know the scope really of how many people really were employed outside of these major projects that we know about, like with Calibre and Vale and IOC and Rio Tinto, and Cora. But outside of that, there's so many projects going on. It's really awesome. And one thing that's really unique about mining is that it's literally all across the province. It's on the west coast of the island, it's on the east coast of the island, all across Central, and in Labrador, all across Labrador, which most sectors aren't, literally everywhere. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, and kudos to MRR and the CIM and the province for actually pulling this off. And when I've been here, I think this is my third year here, and it's grown every year. And the quality of the presentations, the new entrants into the market, there's so much growth and it's visible. It's really exciting.
It's awesome. So I'm going to switch gears for just a moment before we clue up. But Pieter, what's been your favorite part of being a Newfoundlander and Labradorian for the past 5 years?
If you look at Voices Bay specifically, it's to take an asset like that from essentially creating something out of nothing. There is no real underground mines in Labrador, very little in Newfoundland. So we took essentially, like I said, creating something from nothing. We had to take a lot of employees who never had any exposure to underground. We had to bring them in through various training initiatives. Seeing them now being really confident, really successful, doing very well in the mining industry, in coming from various different backgrounds, I think that is one of the things I'm most proud of. Secondly is our relationships with our Aboriginal partners. We got two fantastic partners, the Innu Nation and Nunavut government. And I think the Voices Bay IBAs with those two partners has been heralded worldwide as best in class, and it is fantastic to have that cooperation and that structure as well. And lastly, our safety performance. Given that we have so many new entrants into the underground mining who's never done it before, we taught them the underground skills, got them into the production, and we've won the John T. Ryan Safety Awards multiple years. In that new environment, I think that's pretty special as well.
That is an excellent achievement, and it's a testament to the culture of Vale and up in Voices Bay. People are proud of the work that they're doing. I think they're proud of the contribution they're making to the province, and that's reflected in safety performance, retention, expansion opportunities. Pieter, is there anything else you'd like to add before we close up this afternoon?
No, it's just it's really exciting to be here. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. If there's one message that I can leave with everybody who's at the conference is, we've got such a fantastic opportunity to put Newfoundland on the world stage for energy, for mining, for critical minerals. If we can all pull together and make sure we have the people in place, the resources, the training, education, I really think this province is going to grow significantly over the next couple of decades, and I'm hoping to still be a part of it.
Awesome. It's one thing to be from here and be proud of this place, but it's really awesome to meet someone who's not from here who's also super proud and recognizes the value here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Thanks so much, Pieter, for joining me, and stay tuned, folks, for more from the Mineral Resources Review.
It's a pleasure to be on Gale Force Wins. As always, we appreciate your continued support and detailed analysis and interviews, so it's great to be on. Yeah, my name is Ryan King, as you mentioned, Senior Vice President of Corporate Development and Investor Relations with Calibre. Been with the company since we started it, actually many years ago, but since we became a gold producer and acquired assets in Central America in 2019. And a little bit on Calibre is we've really evolved over the last few years. The focus and the goal for Calibre was to become, when we started out, was to become a quality mid-tier gold producer with a focus on cash flow growth, but doing this responsibly and safely. And our journey has been that. And with the inclusion of the Valentine gold mine in Newfoundland, Canada, this is diversifying the portfolio and putting us into this mid-tier gold producer status. So very exciting time for the company.
Wow, what an introduction, Ryan. You know, it's exciting for me personally. You know, Gale Force Wins, as I said before we hit record, we travel around the world. We've met people in various corners that are doing this and that. And one of the things I find very exciting is the fact that this is in the home province that I, have grown up in and continue to operate from. Tell us a little bit about what this mine means to Newfoundland and Labrador and potentially Canada and the rest of the world.
Yeah, sure. So, firstly, I'll talk maybe just a little bit about the project and the importance of the project for us. Is that the project now is at an 81% complete in terms of its construction. So it's come a long way, even from January when we acquired the asset from Marathon Gold. And maybe some of your audience will be familiar with Marathon Gold. But yeah, so Valentine today is a 5 million ounce open pit project in the central region of Newfoundland. And hundreds of millions of dollars have now been invested into the project. We've got all of the key environmental approvals for the 3-pit mine plan. and the view or the vision here is that with the inclusion of the Valentine mine coming online in Q2 of 2025, this will transform our company in the sense that we really diversified the portfolio for all of our stakeholders. So we're not just a one asset, one producing jurisdiction. 55, I think it's over 55% of our net asset value will be coming out of North America because of the assets we have in the US, and now predominantly because of the assets we have in the central region of Newfoundland. So it's very exciting. And this, for Newfoundland, is going to be the largest open pit gold mine in the province. It is Atlantic Canada's largest open pit gold mine. And so it's been a real transformation, I think, seeing the asset evolve from the discovery of Leprechaun in 2010, 2011, through to marathons, the pit marathon discovery in 2015, 16. And so, the marathon folks were focused on those two pits. And they were going ahead with a mine plan. They were going ahead with engineering. And then through condemnation, what condemnation drilling is looking for where to put the pit so they wouldn't sterilize mineralization. They discovered the Berry pit. So this now become a 3-pit mine plan. But what's exciting is what that tells us is we could be in the very early stages of a gold camp, of a gold district. So for the province of Newfoundland, this is fantastic because you've got the opportunity for a lot of jobs. You've got opportunity for real economic diversification because of what could be, a very major gold camp. And just a bit of context here is that you look at these types of geological settings, these prolific orogenic, this is known as an orogenic gold deposit. You look at the faulting, first order, second order faulting on this system. So faulting is important because it provides the fluid flow. It provides that plumbing opportunity. And, you look at gold camps around the world and similar settings with similar geology in Ontario, in Quebec. They are, they've been explored for over 100 years. And we're talking about camps that are, 30 to 60 plus million ounces of gold. And here is Calibre with the Valentine gold mine in Newfoundland that is, has a 5 million ounce base. And we're heavily investing into exploration to see what does this full belt look like. So it's incredibly exciting in what I believe, and what we all believe, is the very early innings of a gold district.
Ryan, just so exciting. I mean, prior to hitting record, I mentioned to you that 2 years ago, I sat and we talked to Eric Sprott, and he described it as being like a feather, and all the gold deposits disseminate out throughout the feather. I can't remember what he called them. What do you call those? Like veins, I guess.
Veins, yeah, veins.
Yeah, well, and for me, not knowing the industry, it was a great illustration of what the potential is here. The other thing he talked about is the Trans-Canada Highway cuts in the middle.
Yeah.
Tell us, like, I think about some of the Ontario mines, and you're pretty far north. How do you, once you get it out of the ground, how do you get it to market? Like, is it because Newfoundland's on an island that makes it even better? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. I guess, one of the aspects here and one of the concerns that we had was getting, first of all, was getting employees. We weren't sure going into this how that would be. And, how it was structured originally was, and there's an agreement in place with the province to be focused on people from Newfoundland, which is great in terms of employees. And I think that we've got a lot of opportunities. But what our concern was finding that operational leadership to lead this team and lead this operating asset. And, so far this year, we've put most of, if not almost all of the key people in place from a senior leadership perspective to lead a great team. And these folks have years and years of experience of operating mines. So Calibre has attracted, but it's also Newfoundland, because of the attractiveness of Newfoundland to, in some cases, come back home. A lot of folks had been on a rotation where they're living in Newfoundland. They have to fly out, go to work, and fly home. This is an opportunity where we've got a lot of local talent that has the opportunity to stay on the island, to stay home, and you're still going back and forth from site in a rotation, but you're in your home province. So attracting that talent is key, and we've found that we're getting good pickup there. We're getting good people. We've got good leadership in place now, so that's key in order to get to that delivery, right? To getting the product to the market. And this operation will be such that it will produce doré bars. So this is, as you talked about, the Trans-Canada Highway. We'll produce doré bars on site. We'll have relationships in place with refiners. Security will come and pick up the gold from site, which will be in a gold room, right? A secure gold room that then will transport the product out to market off the island, just through regular means of transportation. And it's important because a lot of areas are very remote and have challenging infrastructure. But in the setting that we're at is that we've got, as you mentioned, great road networks in Newfoundland. Actually, the Trans-Canada Highway, we've got a spur of I think it's about a 70, 80 kilometer road off the main highway, which we are responsible for. But, it's fantastic because a lot of areas are hundreds of kilometers away from main infrastructure, power at site, of course, roads. So we're in a really good position to get those gold bars out to the market. We're not transporting a concentrate. These are gold bars that we refine on site, and then they go to the market to get further refined.
Wow. Ryan, it's amazing to hear you talk. As I said, I've grown up in this province, and history of challenging economic issues. To hear you talk about the leadership team that you've put together, the fact that you're attracting talent from all over the world to get here is very exciting. I'm going to talk a little bit about next week. So next week you have a presence at the Mineral Resources Review. That's a collaborative effort between the Newfoundland and Labrador branch of the Canadian Institute of Mining, Metallurgy and Petroleum, and the Department of Energy and Technology for the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador. I've done some work. We did work with you guys in the Central MINEx in Gander last year, and we were there the year before. Tell us a little bit about, what it means to Calibre to be a thought leadership sponsor of our podcast, and B, to be in the room with the people that are going to make this industry better. Yeah.
I mean, it's an incredible responsibility here, building Atlantic Canada's largest open pit mine. And the focus for us is doing it the right way, the safe way. And we've got and as we just talked about, we've got a great team in place that can deliver that. And so the plan is that, as we're inching through the as we advancing through the next steps here. So we're at 81% now. By the early Q1 of next year, we'll be through mechanical completion. That's the plan, and electrical completion. So we'll start commissioning. We're starting all the commissioning work now, but we'll really start getting the plant up and running in Q1, Q2. Will be first gold. And so, there's this stage that we're at today where there's a lot of eyeballs on this opportunity, this asset, this company, because of what it is bringing from an economic diversification. So we need to make sure that that we are very focused on delivering that, but delivering it safely and ensuring that there's transparency with all the stakeholders involved, employees, and all stakeholders that are involved in this. And it's a big responsibility, and this is our first foray into Canada, so we want to make sure we do it right, and deliver the asset as expected. But not only that, but garner the trust of the stakeholders in the community, such that they know that we are doing this responsibly and correctly, but also with what could come from an expansion opportunity in the years to come. So we have to demonstrate, as we've done in other operations around the world, really demonstrated that we make sure that we have a very transparent and open dialogue with our communities, a very transparent social license to operate, incorporating all of our stakeholders and communities into the operations. And I think if you look at Calibre, in terms of our existing operations, you'd see that. So this is an opportunity for our local team there to really interact with all those stakeholders, to interact with the province, interact with the regulators, and then an opportunity for all those folks to hear how things are going, to hear what's happening from an exploration, construction, and operation perspective, and obviously to meet with those key leaders that are going to be leading the operation for the next several decades.
Ryan, I'm going to let the audience know that you're in Vancouver. I'm in Newfoundland. You must have been up at 5:30 this morning to get on this podcast. What I want to tell people is that this is the type of leadership that is happening within the Calibre Group. Ryan King has gotten on this podcast at an ungodly hour to show and tell people, what is happening. Ryan, on that note, just any final words you'd like to say in advance of the Mineral Resources Review next week, or on anything related to what you're doing?
Yeah, no, I think it's really important to be grateful for this opportunity, right? We're in a great position. We appreciate the hospitality. It's been a lot of hard work to get here, but I do want to say that I think it's really important to recognize the very senior leadership, the CEO of the company, Darren Hall, who's been a thought leader for over 30 years in the mining business. He's worked in many different jurisdictions around the world, and it's really critical and important for him to do this the right way, to be responsible, transparent, and incorporate all of our local communities, to bring them along in this project. And he's a gentleman that I respect, and he will ensure that we do it the right way, in the most responsible way, but also so his view to expand and diversify, really it's going to be, we need to maximize the value from a stakeholder perspective of this asset before we do anything else. So we're not going to get distracted on new and shiny things. We are really focused on delivering this and then operating this, and he will be present in future events. So it won't be available next week, but future events. So and we'll look to have an exciting opening for the mine next year sometime, and we'll let a lot of the communities and stakeholders and regulators know about that. But I think that's important to know, that we all look up to the leader of the company, the chief executive officer. And I've worked with him for many, many years now. And I just think that he's the type of guy that will do this ethically, responsibly. And so that's really important to me and to our team. and we've got a very supportive board behind us to do this. So this is a big step for our company, but we have to do it correctly, and we have to do it such that employees feel empowered, and all of that. So no, I'm excited about this opportunity. It's a time in our evolution where everyone is watching closely, is cautiously optimistic, but is anxious at the same time. As you build a new mine, it is a major step. I think, as we've said to the market, our estimated cost of completion to get to first gold is 750 million Canadian dollars. So that's what we've invested, not including sunk capital, i.e. capital from an engineering, permitting, and exploring perspective. But that's just the beginning. That is just the beginning to get to economic diversification within the province, because we will continue to invest in the asset and to ensure sustainability, longevity, and also maybe in the future, we may have another mill on site. We may have another set of deposits and assets. And I think that's why this is such a critically important step for us to do this safely, responsibly, and correctly, and have a great social license to operate within the province of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Hello, I'm Kristina Ennis, and welcome to the 2024 Mineral Resources Review, sponsored by Trajectory Engineering, powered by Gale Force Wins. I have the distinct pleasure of being joined now by Tony Wakeham, MHA for the District of Stephenville Port-au-Port and leader of the Progressive Conservative Party of Newfoundland and Labrador. Thank you, Tony, for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Kristina.
Awesome. So to kick us off, Tony, can you give us a little bit of a snapshot of who Tony is,
Sure.
maybe pre-politics, that maybe folks might not be aware of at home, and tell me a little bit about what brings you to the show.
Yep, I've had a different career. I've been involved in the public system. I've been involved in the private system. I, at one time, was a partner in a series of Kentucky Fried Chicken franchises and Pizza Hut. I actually once owned a movie theater.
Oh, wow.
So I've spent a lot of different things. Along the way, though, I spent the majority of time working in healthcare. My last job before I got into politics was the CEO of Lab Grenfell Health.
Right.
And when that contract was up, I was approached to think about entering politics, which I did. And then I was fortunate last year to be elected the leader of the Progressive Conservative Party of Newfoundland and Labrador, and here I am today.
Here we are today. Well, congratulations. It's been an exciting adventure and lots of exciting things to come as well. Tony, can you tell us a little bit about what brings you to the Mineral Resources Review as leader of the Progressive Conservative Party? Why do you want to be here this week?
Well, for me, I think, Kristina, it's a time in our province when we start looking at how do we do things better? Is there a better way? And I always find that if you really want solutions to help you when you are in government, is go talk to the people that are actually working in those industries. Right. And that's what brought me here today. The opportunity to meet with people who are in the industry and actually making it happen, making it better, making improvements for Newfoundland and Labrador, creating jobs for Newfoundland and Labradorians. So to come and listen to some of their issues, some of their concerns, talk about how they see we as a government can do things better.
Right. And this is a really unique space. There's a lot of folks here who are looking to invest in this province, across the island, also in Labrador. There's folks who have started businesses in smaller communities in regions that traditionally aren't where folks are starting new businesses, and they are thriving and they are succeeding. What are some of the things that you think the mining sector could benefit from in terms of maybe policy or process or programs that could enhance our ability to grow the mining sector? Absolutely.
I think what I've heard this morning again is how do we make the process more seamless?
Right.
You know, we talk about red tape and what that is. Well, red tape is when, you submit an application and to get something done and you wait months and months and months before anything ever gets approved. There's lots of examples of red tape. So the stories I heard this morning are not about necessarily the process, it's the timing of the process.
Speed at which the process moves.
Exactly.
Right.
And making sure that how do we make sure they're timely? Because the last thing we want to do as a government, or should be concerned about, is being the cause of delay.
Right.
That's the last thing you want government to be, the cause of delay of a project starting up, because of the delay of a project moving ahead. Those are the things that we ought to be able to do better as a government.
Right. And those are delays that they don't just delay the company, it delays job creation, it delays revenue generation for the province, and we're looking for more revenue for the province every single day. So these are some things.
That's absolutely right. Our philosophy, my philosophy, has always been that we need more people paying less tax, not less people paying more. And when we think about the opportunities here in mining in our province, it's not just the direct jobs in the mine itself. It's, as you mentioned, it's the spin-off jobs in those communities in rural Newfoundland and Labrador, creating employment right there. And that's part of what this will do. So, and it's not always about mega projects.
No.
It's, it's not about the 1,000 people you hire. It's about the 10 people you hire.
Right.
And the 15 and the 20. And we build it. And that's how we build our economy. And we do that by supporting industry, making sure that we're working with them, that, as I said, we don't become part of the problem. We need to be part of the solution and working with them to get it done.
Absolutely. One thing that I've noticed actually walking around here today is there's cohorts of folks, they have similar t-shirts on. I believe they're students. There's a lot of young people here at this event. What do you think the mining sector, or kind of the industry, energy, technology sector for young people, what does that mean for folks who might have left the province in the past or are going to graduate university soon?
Yeah, it's great you bring that up, because I actually talked to a company here today that were very complimentary of the College of the North Atlantic and MUN. But it's about how do we make sure that the students we're training have those job opportunities here at home? How do we redefine our programs, maybe some of the programs that we're offering, so that we're actually educating people for the jobs that are right here in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Right.
And that became part of that. So that was an excellent discussion, and you're 100% correct. That's what we ought to be focused on. So how do we retain younger people here and make sure we create that environment, create the jobs for them to stay?
Exactly. And, research has shown that where people study is where they will stay. So making those connections, and even the community sector and municipalities and healthcare and everything kind of working together to make sure the opportunities that are in a lot of rural areas in the province can stay there, and people can move there and live there and create a life there.
And it comes back to it. I know it's a cliche and people use it all the time when they say, government doesn't create the jobs, it creates the environment.
Right.
That's what we have to be focused on. We should never lose sight of the fact that government has a responsibility to grow our economy.
Right.
And how they do that is by making sure that businesses can come and invest in Newfoundland and Labrador and can make money. Businesses need to make money.
Yes.
We need to support that, but we make sure it's done right. So it's not about giving up anything. It's about making sure the process is done correctly, and that we, though, find a way to make sure it's done efficiently.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more as time goes on about how some of these processes can be made better to enable a lot of these opportunities to materialize and bring lots of benefits to the province, both on the island portion and across Labrador. Tony, is there anything you want to leave folks with who are watching on social media at home?
Well, the one thing I will say to the people at home that I have said before is that we can do better, we must do better, and we will do better.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me here, Tony. And stay tuned, folks, for more here in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador at the Mineral Resources Review. I'm joined this morning by Jeff Swinoga. Jeff is the president and CEO of Exploits Discovery. Thank you for joining me, Jeff.
Well, thank you, Kristina. It's a pleasure being here.
Awesome. So to kick us off, Jeff, can you tell us a little bit about your background and what brings you to the Mineral Resources Review here in St. John's?
Sure. Well, I've been in mining for about 25 years. I worked on different projects. Well, first off with Barrick Gold and various different companies during the years. I worked in Africa, worked in South America, worked in a lot of different challenging jurisdictions, and it's certainly a pleasure for me to be running a company that's based in Newfoundland. So in Labrador, so it's great. We got all local team in Gander, Newfoundland.
Love to hear that.
We're going to be doing a lot of great exploration work. So no, we're super pleased to be here. Yeah.
Excellent. So can you tell me a little bit more about Exploits Discovery? What company is all about? How it came to be?
Sure. Well, honestly, it's if you look at the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, basically there's a fault running through the central Newfoundland near Gander, and it's called the Appleton Fault.
The what fault?
The Appleton Fault.
Appleton Fault. Okay,
Yeah, the Appleton Fault. And the Appleton Fault has been hosting a number of gold discoveries over the last 5 years. There's a great company called Newfound Gold that's found over 20 gold discoveries so far, 20 gold zones. Some big, some small, some are growing. And so we've got the next property up called Bullseye right here. We staked that about 2 years ago. And then we have another 8 kilometers to the north on Gazebo. So everything seems to be moving north. So Exploits has been drilling for the last maybe year and a half, not continuously, but picking our moments. And we've had 2 gold discoveries so far. We've got the Horseshoe Zone and we've got the Saddle Zone. And yeah, we're looking to hopefully have a few more, before we're done, of course, and seeing which one's bigger and best.
Right.
So the Appleton Fault is like a feather. So it's like you got the stem and you got all these branches that kind of come off, and these were the gold that's being discovered. Yeah. So honestly, we're small now, but we've got big dreams to become the newfound gold of the north.
Awesome.
And we've got, I call them kind of our big brother, because they've been drilling for 5 years, and we just started drilling on our property about a year and a half ago. So we've got lots of runway. We're well funded. Eric Sprott owns about 15% of our company. He's a super great investor. He's been very supportive of the whole region. Awesome. So we're looking to do good things in the near and the long term.
Cool. That sounds like there's a lot going on.
Oh yeah.
Exploit discovery.
Yeah.
Is there any up and coming projects that you'd like to highlight for folks who are watching at home who might have just learned a lot about the Appleton Fault and what's going on? Yeah, so what's coming up is two key things are likely going to happen. One is, we found the Horseshoe Zone, and I mentioned the Saddle Zone. Yep. Saddle, we hit some pretty nice grade, like 67 grams over 3.3 meters gold, which is a really good hit. Good. Right? And then we're looking to follow that up. So the drill program coming up in the next week or so is going to be drilling the Saddle Zone. We're also looking at areas that could become bigger and better, like Newfound had K2, and then K2 looks like it's getting bigger, and it's right near our border. Like a lot of these gold discoveries are within like 100 meters of our border. Oh, wow. So when we talk about closeology, we're talking about very close. We're talking about you and I walking to get a coffee, and you go, okay, that was the last gold zone discovered, right? Concentrated area. Yeah, then here's our border over here. Oh, right. So it's a really, if you go back about a year and a half, in this one area that's only about maybe 2 kilometers stretch, there was no gold discoveries announced. Then literally in the last year and a half, there's been about 9 gold discoveries. So it's been, when I say the area is heating up, the area is heating up all within this small concentrated area. Now, having said this, the Appleton Fault runs for probably 80 plus kilometers. So when we talk about the early days of where we are and what's happening, if you look at Quebec, like the Abitibi region is, chock full of discoveries, big mines, historic mines like LaRonde, for example. We view this Appleton Fault in central Newfoundland almost like the early days of the Abitibi. And to be on the cusp of making history, who was first, who found the big ones, and to be able to run these type of programs, it's super exciting. So in the near term, we've got our drill program on Bullseye, which is hopefully going to yield a couple more gold discoveries. But then we need to get to Gazebo, because Gazebo is like 8 kilometers of the Appleton Fault. We've done some till sampling on it. We're going to come up with more till sampling. It means where you find gold grains in soil. Right. And so we want to drill that in the future, but it's so large, we got to make sure that we have a high probability of success. Yeah, we're actually quite good at when we have a drill program finding gold. If you look at our metrics, it's good. I mean, it's a higher risk game or high risk game, but we that's why we haven't been continuously drilling. We want to make sure that we're doing all the work necessary to be successful. Right. If that makes sense. Awesome. That's great. Jeff, can you touch a little bit on what events like this mean to exploit discovery? How does the culmination of the mineral resources review benefit your company? Well, I have to say, I love Newfoundland and Labrador. Like, honestly, me too. And honestly, I've been the pleasure of doing this job for about 3 years, and so
again, number one, people are just fantastic, and it's no different within the exploration mining sector, right? So there's a lot of understanding, collaboration, there's a lot of discussion. We want to lift everyone up, you know, if we become first or biggest and best, I mean, that's great, but we want to see other successes in the region too, with our peer group. So we don't share non-public information, but we're certainly helpful. It's what we're seeing, publicly disclosed, because we want to see success. We want to see more success. I mean, on the Valentine fault, we saw Marathon, you know, and Calibre now coming in. We see Firefly doing great. So the more we can get this industry moving up, the sooner we can create more jobs for people and create, like, again, a great, strong mining industry for the province.
I love hearing industry talk about contributing to the overall sustainability of regions, and the mining sector is one that absolutely gets that, especially given the geography of where the discoveries are occurring. So it's
you couldn't pick a better location, to be honest.
Awesome.
You know.
Cool. So, Jeff, is there anything else you'd like to add, either about the Mineral Resources Review or about the company, or kind of your experience working in Newfoundland and Labrador before we go up?
Well, I think and maybe in summary, is that, you know, we've got a great exploration company called Exploits Discovery. Please look us up. Please follow the story. All the local team in Gander, Newfoundland, well funded. You know, Eric Sprott owns 15%, and Newfoundland owns some shares as well. And so, just to watch us, but go from an overall region. You know, come to Newfoundland, you know, do a site visit, you know, see St. John, see Gander, like see other Grand Falls. There's so many great locations. And again, this is the early days of mineral exploration. The government's doing a fantastic job. I can't speak the government, honestly, is so supportive. I see them at these conferences, of course, which are local, but I see them in Europe. I see them in other places. And they have the playbook on how they're looking to, they want to see 5 new mines in the province. And I mean, what a better what could be a higher endorsement of how supportive they are. So honestly, it's a great region to be in. We're looking for greater success, but we have to do the work to show it.
Excellent. And on clearing up on that note, that is something that was reiterated by the minister this morning and also the premier, about the benefit and value of going out of the province, encouraging investment here, but also enabling export outside the province. So love that you tied that back in. Thank you so much for joining me, Jeff. It was a pleasure to learn more about the Appleton Fault, and I will be staying tuned for hopefully some success in your future endeavors with Exploits Discovery.
Thank you very much, Kristina.
Awesome. Good afternoon. My name is Kristina Ennis, and welcome to the 2024 Mineral Resources Review, sponsored by Trajectory Engineering and powered by Gale Force Wins. I have the pleasure of being joined now by Amanda McCallum. Amanda is the new Executive Director with Mining NL. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Awesome. So Amanda is actually the very first woman in this leadership role with Mining NL in its history. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And can we start off, Amanda, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background, and what's kind of led you to this role?
Sure. Well, thanks for the opportunity to be here. Always exciting. I've been in this role for about 6 months now, actually 6 months as of last week. And it's an exciting time to step into this role. So prior to joining Mining NL, I owned my own consulting company, Ignite Education, that I had for over a decade. Prior to that, I had worked with the provincial government. So I'm a geologist by background, but I also have a background in education.
Awesome.
So I've done a lot of work with communications, public relations, but I tended to be the person who people would hire if they had technical information to make it a little bit more user-friendly to various audiences. So
cool. Which I can imagine will lend itself very well to the mining sector, given it's. I've learned lots of technical things today, but folks have been great at kind of breaking it down into digestible pieces for myself as a non-mining background person.
Yeah, so I often say I kind of I've been that person that have distilled a lot of the technical information to a variety of audiences. So whether that might be a company doing work with, social license or ESG initiatives, community engagement, public relations, communications. So it's been a kind of a varied background over the years.
Awesome. Well, I am very much looking forward to seeing Mining NL grow and applying your skill set to that space and adding value for those members. On that note, can you tell us a little bit about Mining NL?
Yeah, so Mining NL, we are the premier voice for the mining and mineral resources sector in Newfoundland and Labrador. So we are at our heart and core of what we do, it's advocacy. So we speak on behalf of industry. We're an industry-driven, membership-driven industry association, and have really been incorporated since 1994.
Cool. Awesome. I'm going to go back to something you mentioned a moment ago about kind of making things more digestible and your background in training, but also your background in government and policy, which that can oftentimes be very difficult for people to wrap their minds around. There's a lot of information. People can't be an expert in everything.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about some of the efforts or initiatives around making mining more understood in the province for folks who are not part of this sector?
Yeah, so in terms of, I should say first of all, for us as an industry association, we support the entire value chain in the mining cycle.
Right.
So from prospectors to exploration, through to developers, operators, and then as a part of our operators, they deal with mine reclamation. So we support that entire value chain, but in addition, the service and supply sector, who feed into all of those different phases in the cycle. So it's a big sector, it's a big industry.
It is.
And and we're looking to move forward, like strategically as we move forward, how can we better enhance services and programs to support industry? So especially to help them as they navigate through the regulatory framework in which they do, social license, and also workforce sustainability. Being aware that with so many emerging projects on the horizon for this province, how can we better support industry with ensuring that they have, a skilled labor force and market to be able to move forward with their projects.
Absolutely. And that piece around social license and workforce, and I guess just the size and scope of the industry, I thought I was well informed about the size of the mining sector in the province.
Yeah.
Until this week. There's so much going on.
There is a lot going on, and I think traditionally, it's very much an industry that's sort of at the foundation of the province. We are the second largest contributor to provincial GDP at 7.3%. The largest would be oil extraction at 22.8%, and then construction comes in third. So a big revenue generator to the province, contributing not just economically but socially. Most of exploration and mining happens in rural parts of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Yeah, that's true.
So when you look at us as a province in terms of we're about I think 450,000 square kilometers, and we have a population of about 552,000 people. So one of the messages that I've been sharing since stepping into this role is that when you look at the diversity, the geodiversity of this province from its mineral resource potential, we have 34 of the potential critical minerals that globally, various jurisdictions around the world, Canada, the United States, Japan, Australia, they publish these annual critical minerals lists.
Right.
And if you look at the European list that has about 50 critical minerals identified, here in Newfoundland and Labrador, we have, occurrences of 34 of those 50 minerals.
That is
which is
amazing.
Which is really quite significant, yeah. So it's not just what's happening when it comes to the operations. Certainly, if you look to Labrador, obviously over 70 years with Rio Tinto IOC operating. We are a premier iron ore district for the province. High purity iron ore is now on Canada's critical minerals list.
Yes.
But then you look at Vale's Voisey's Bay project, producing nickel, copper, and cobalt, being processed in Long Harbour. I mean, those are very much significant commodities, which really nationally, when you look at the big picture, respectively contribute about a third of Canada's annual iron ore production, as well as nickel, coming from this province. So I think as an industry, it's unknown to some folks, certainly, and undervalued. Yeah. It's definitely an undervalued sector. So certainly moving forward with the industry association, the goal is to raise that level of communications. I'm looking to amplify some of our messaging, and so that people are aware of not just the value economically and socially, but on that personal level. Yes. Being aware of like what's in your stuff and where it comes from. Absolutely. Every single thing that we use in our day-to-day lives comes from the extractive resources sector. Yeah. It comes from a mined material. So that's not just mineral commodities and metals. You could also think of oil and gas, and so it's the extractive resources sector are very important to the materials that are created from these resources. They not only meet our basic needs, but they enhance our quality of lives. Absolutely. And that's a piece that sometimes people don't appreciate.
Gets lost. Yeah. And do you know what? It's interesting, like having grown up here, I have known there's an iron ore mine, or multiple of them, and nickel. And we hear about it all the time, and I think that just kind of glosses over people at this point because it's part of our everyday lives. We all know, most people in Newfoundland probably know someone who's worked in Voisey's Bay, or has worked in Lab City and Vine, or has worked in Long Harbour, or has some connection to these projects, but nickel isn't everywhere, and iron ore isn't everywhere, and it is here.
It is here. And the province actually several months ago there's a new investment opportunity here in the province. They issued an expression of interest for the Julian Lake deposit, which is an iron ore deposit in Labrador. So again, it's another opportunity. Yeah. It's a significant asset that the province holds. And by issuing this expression of interest, they're looking to attract investment to advance this rather significant deposit in Labrador. So I mean that's exciting for us as a province. And then there's other players within the iron ore district, if I can say, in Lab West, looking to advance projects with the CAMI project also in development. So it's there's tremendous opportunities here, and I really can't repeat that enough.
Yeah, it's really exciting. The buzz here this week is excellent, and there's folks from all corners. There's service providers. There's people here looking to potentially invest, and I've met people from all over the world at this point who've come to do just that, figure out how they can participate in our economy here in the province. Do you have any examples of things that people might not necessarily be aware of that minerals are required for that affect our everyday life? We hear about batteries, we hear about electric vehicles. What else is there that people might not be thinking of?
Yeah, I really can't speak about metals and minerals without mentioning copper. Prior to stepping in the role that I'm in, I was involved with copper projects and exploration, and some people might say copper is king. I always say copper is queen. Kind of just
I love that.
Yeah, exactly. But if you look at electrification, will not occur without copper. So it's a critical mineral, but it's also one of those it's a base metal, so it's incredibly significant, and we have had copper production here in the province, and looking forward, like from a global picture, big lens, humanity, we will require more copper in the next 25 years than what we've seen used thus far by humanity. Right. So, I mean, that's incredibly significant. So, if you're talking about decarbonization, electrification, green energy, that really doesn't occur without metals and minerals. Yeah. And it will require more metals and minerals than we've ever needed before in order to support that.
Well, it sounds like we are in the right place to learn more about those things. I mean, in Newfoundland and Labrador, it's been super enlightening to learn more about mining NL. And if anybody's interested in learning more, where can they find more information?
Well, you can find us online. We have a website, miningandl.com. We're also accessible on social media channels, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, I guess, formerly Twitter, and reach out. We're like I said, we are the voice of industry, and we represent the sector and all that, the entire value chain of the mining and mineral resources sector in the province.
Awesome. So before I close, I just want to say thank you, Amanda, for joining me. I am so happy to see a woman at the helm of an organization like this. And again, if anyone's looking for more information about Mining NL, you can check them out on social media and on their website. And is there anything else you'd like to add before we close up?
I think really just to say that the opportunities in this sector are tremendous. And I really should speak to the fact that, we will require a diverse workforce. And I think diversity is a key to some of the workforce sustainability challenges that we might face. And diversity is also, diversity of thought. So we need people coming in and working in the sector who, for somebody like myself, there is this sometimes a perception, mining has some perception and legacy issues that we want to address, we want to be able to discuss, and to be able to move forward with projects so that we have the least amount of environmental footprint as possible and responsible mining, and we need people to help us do that. And I think diversity is key to the workforce. So I think that would be my parting message.
That is an excellent parting message, and I think you are absolutely the perfect person to help the mining sector become, so that folks involved in the sector can be champions for the sector too, and help educate other people about how awesome it is around here. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining me, and stay tuned for more from the Mineral Resources Review.
Thank you for tuning in to Gale Force Wins. That's Gale Force Wins, WINS.com.